Could you say one more time that we can hear you now?
Oh, sure, I'm sorry. This meeting is available in English and Spanish. Would the translator please give instructions on the translation services available?
Hola, buenas tardes. Se utilizará la función de interpretación de Zoom para soporte en inglés y en español. Todos los participantes de esta llamada deben seleccionar su idioma de preferencia haciendo clic en el idioma correspondiente cuando el anfitrión active la función de interpretación. Dicha función se encuentra en el panel de herramientas en el icono del globo terráqueo. El modo de interpretación para esta reunión será el simultáneo. Muchas gracias por su atención y colaboración.
Thank you. I see that all board members are present, so we can begin. As a note, please note that a recording is being made at the direction of the board and that the recording may capture sounds of those attending the meeting. Let's see, item 3 is approval of the agenda. If there's any member of the public who would like to speak on this item, which is solely about the agenda, please use the raised hand feature or hand in a blue card now. Okay, not seeing any. Board, I'd like to approve tonight's agenda with a modification that we add an item under reports, 9F, comments from the Sunnyvale Education Foundation, which I believe was just left off from a typo. Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of a 9F?
I so move. I second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I just want to confirm that we can do that. That adding that is fine.
You can add.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passed. Item 4 is public comment for closed session. If there's any member of the public who wishes to comment on closed session, if you're here in the room with us, we need a blue card. Online, if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on a closed session item, please use the raised hand feature now. The topic tonight is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to government code 54956.9, D2, one case. Okay, seeing none, we are now going to adjourn to closed session. It's 6:03 p.m. We will return to the boardroom by 6:30 p.m. Thank you.
Yeah, we printed out.
Welcome.
Because I want.
Nice to see you.
Also the.
Second row.
Yeah, sure. I'll just read it out there. Hi everyone, it's 6:31 and I'm reconvening this regular board meeting of the Board of Education. I see all members are present. We met in closed session and regarding a conference with legal counsel for anticipated litigation, and no action was taken. So we are on to item 7, which is our flag salute. So please join me. Actually, we have Maddie Collister who's going to lead us with the flag salute. Thank you.
Please rise if you're able and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I'd like to invite Kayla Collister up to read our land acknowledgement, our living land acknowledgement. Thank you.
Sunnyvale School District is located on the ancestral and unceded land of the Muwekma Ohlone, who have peacefully honored and cared for this land for thousands of years. We recognize that every member of the Sunnyvale community continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land. We acknowledge our responsibility to learn from the wisdom of the Ohlone people and to consider how we might work to repair injustices and to move forward together in honorable ways.
Thank you. Okay, we are on to item 9, which is reports. We are very excited to have our student representatives here from Sunnyvale Middle School for student reports tonight. We have Caleb Collister, Lauren Zhang, Ellie Yao, Alicia Chen, and Maddie Collister here with us. So why don't you introduce yourselves and make your presentation. You're very welcome, and you can come over to the board chair. Thank you.
Good evening, President Watson, trustees, Superintendent Crossway, and community. We are the student body representatives from Sunnyvale Middle School. We appreciate the chance to serve and to lift student voices. Tonight, we are excited to share some updates from our school. Good evening. My name is Caleb Collister, and I serve as president of Sunnyvale Middle School this year. I'm in 8th grade, and I love playing basketball for the school team. I actually just finished a game, which is why I'm in my jersey. We're excited to have doubled our leadership team this year by turning one leadership class into 2, and that is already having a big impact on what we were able to do. Last year, our leadership team produced all the media and also wrote all events at Sunnyvale Middle. But this year, we have a separate team, community media, and our student council team is focused on leading events that will create the kind of culture that we want in our school. I wanted to give you a quick rundown of the events going on in our school from a student's perspective. Recently, our leadership team hosted an event to celebrate Spartan Pride, which stands for prepare, respect, integrity, determination, and empathy, that all our students strive for to be successful. Leadership created booths that students would visit during lunch, representing each aspect of our motto to earn candy and other prizes in a constant flow throughout our lunch period. Approximately 200 to 300 students showed up. We hope to make lunch events a common fun aspect of our school that leadership can put on frequently to promote good habits out of all our students. Next, back to school night just happened for all our families. Families were able to see a glimpse into what their children will be learning over the next year, and for a lot of new 6th grade parents, they were able to see a little bit into the new school routine their kids were getting into. One more exciting school-wide occasion was the competitive junior cabinet elections that added grade-level representatives into our student council group. In fact, one of them will even be speaking to you all later in this update as a voice of the 6th grade. The final thing I wanted to speak about is NWEA testing. This test gives us hard data about the growth of students in our school, or even where they may need to improve. This data allows our school to make the necessary adjustments to help students thrive, which makes it very important in their daily routine. Now I'd like to invite Ellie up to talk about the new buildings.
I'm Ellie, and this year I am serving as Secretary of Student Council, and I'm in 7th grade. I play the flute and so travel a lot to support my brother in marching band. Sunnyvale Middle was built in 1961, and we have only renovated it this century. Can you believe these buildings are 64 years old? Spartan Village was created with 2-story buildings, additional classrooms, and places for students to hang out after lunch. Something me and my fellow grade mates appreciate about the new buildings is that the classrooms are colorful and comfortable, with rocking chairs, stools, and hoverboards to fidget with during class. We also appreciate that there are paper towels in the bathroom instead of hand washing. One thing that student council wants to propose is having more range cover in Spartan Village. Don't tell Mr. Inside. He doesn't know that we are doing this. We should add rain coverage over the middle of the campus because when it rains, students all cram into the hallways, which makes it hard to navigate through the hallways. As part of the class of 2025 and 2026, we are one of the first people to use the campus, and therefore we are grateful. Now, I will turn the mic to Maddie to talk about what her and her fellow classmates helped her to transition her team.
Hi, my name is Maddie Coster, and I just started 6th grade at Sunnyvale Middle. My brother and I both went to Ellis Elementary from K through 5th, and we really care about the Sunnyvale School District. The transition from elementary to middle school is big, because we go from having one teacher who knows us really well to having many teachers who have a lot more students. And we notice right away that we might not have the same strong connection with our teachers that we've always been used to. We also have to carry all of our stuff around everywhere that we go, and that can be a struggle. If I'm going to be honest, for the first few weeks of school, it felt pretty stressful with everything that was going on. One of the most stressful things that we can experience is the very short 3-minute passing period. It feels so rushed that we suddenly hear the bell ring and we have to immediately pack up all of our stuff and leave for our next class. Also, because of the construction, classes like PE and music are so far for us to travel from the 6th grade wing and the new building in just 3 minutes. We're also always worried about if we're going to make it to our next class in time or not. This is also a big problem for the students who ride the bus, since there's so often a late bus and kids will come into class not having context or understanding about what we're learning about. Although the transition to middle school was rough at some point so far, there have been some things that the staff have done to help us. For instance, they've given us grades if we're late to class while we're still getting used to switching classrooms. It was also helpful to get a school tour that the web team hosted at orientation so that we would have a general idea of where we were going on the first day. Now that we're a month in, I'm having fun making friends with kids from other elementary schools and learning that I can still get to know some of my teachers very well. Having a lot of teachers actually means that you might have some teachers you get to know better than others, and I'm excited for the rest of 6th grade. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alicia. I'm in 7th grade and I serve as treasurer in the student council this year. I also love playing badminton and supporting all my fellow teammates. Seventh grade feels very different from sixth grade. Although it only started 1 month of the school year, in sixth grade everything was brand new. We were adjusting to a whole new campus, figuring out how to get around, and trying to remember whether each day we had PE or our elective. There was a big focus on routines and getting comfortable with the changes from elementary school. Classes also felt different. In sixth grade, teachers helped us go through the basic rules. This year in seventh grade, the work feels more challenging, and teachers expected us to be more independent as we're learning how to manage more responsibility, such as keeping track of assignments, studying for tests, and asking for help when we need it. It feels like we're prepared for the higher expectations that will come in eighth grade and beyond. Another difference is our role in the school. Last year, we were the youngest in the school and looked up to the older grades. This year, as seventh graders, we feel more like leaders. We're not the new kids anymore. Now we get to set an example for the new sixth graders and show them what middle school is like. That responsibility makes us more grown up and important in the school community. Overall, seventh grade feels like a year of growth and confidence. Compared to last year, we were more independent, more comfortable, and ready to take on bigger challenges. It's exciting to see how much we've already changed since sixth grade, and we know this year will help us even more as students and people. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm in 8th grade and I serve as the vice president of the school and I played on the championship tennis team last year. I wanted to talk about the climate here at Sunnyvale Middle. Now, I'm not talking about the weather, but rather the general feelings of familiarity as students have developed at campus. I remember, and I'm sure Caleb, Ellie, and Misha all do as well, the strange uncertainty or hesitation stepping into school as a 6th grader. Now that we're past that phase, it's good to look back on and realize how each one of us adapted to the school. A couple years ago, the campus might have been hard to navigate around, or people didn't seem to friendly to approach. But now that we're older and having connections with new people, I can tell that most of us feel much more welcome. In the first few days of school, I felt so happy that new middle schoolers came up to me asking for directions. So I'm really glad that they're glad to meet them. The majority of my classmates and I think that this year has felt calmer and less tension and chaos. I relate this perspective to the new building's impact and how free it is to run around, just like what Elliot talked about. We are really grateful that our school took the time and effort to give us students more freedom and a better learning environment with new instructions. To summarize my points, I'd say that the climate here at Sunnyvale Middle School has definitely grown warmer and more inviting over the years. What once felt big and intimidating has turned into a place where friendship and learning can thrive. In conclusion, our school has gone through a lot of change for the better. We're all hoping that the next time we share with you, there will be even more exciting updates and events to talk about because this is for the success of the students at our school. So the more that they thrive, the better. On behalf of the student council team and all of Sunnyvale Middle School, thank you for taking the time and interest to listen to what's happening at our school. Thank you.
I was just wondering, Board, if we could get a picture of the students who leave the report tonight, would that be okay? Just take a quick minute. That's okay with the students, we would love that, okay? So you're our first student reportee, so very excited. Reporters.
We can go into the deck.
See everybody, perfect. Ready? 1, 2, 3. One more, just in case. 1, 2, 3. I'll share these. I'll share your side. Okay. Thank you. Great job.
One more over. Is that in Peggy's chair? Good. Very comfortable. Okay. Okay, so we're on now to item 9B, which is the superintendent's report. Students, you are very welcome to stay, but we understand if you need to go. It's totally okay.
Lots of homework. All right, thank you so much. Welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled board meeting. I want to just thank everyone who was able to come out and to my first meet and greet at Columbia Middle School. It was great to get to know so many of you and also to hear about what you feel are our strengths as a school district and where we should focus our energies next. I also want to just take a moment to congratulate Dr. Valentine who's here. She got selected and announced as a Fulbright Scholar representing Sunnyvale School District. I heard there might be a trip over to Finland. I don't know, but you're gonna have to ask her. And again, I want to thank Sunnyvale Middle School who was able to join us today for the student board representatives. And looking forward to having Columbia Middle School at our next board meeting as well. Let's go to the next slide, please. And with that, I do want to just ask our CBO, Mr. Arthur Cuffey, who's going to be presenting to you the 24-25 unaudited actuals presentation at this time. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Arthur Cuffey, Chief Business Officer here at Sunnyvale School District. I'm excited to present the financial or the unaudited actual financials. We will jump right in, and I wanted to start us off with a quick intro. I'd like everybody to think of a healthy ecosystem. Think of the soil, the trees, the rain, the insects, the animals, and how they all depend on one another. When they work well together, the whole system thrives. Our school district is no different. Classrooms, buses, kitchens, facilities, finance, and so many other parts, which may seem very separate, but are very much interconnected. So when each one of these pieces aligns and supports each other, our ecosystem gives our students the best chance to succeed. So tonight, I'll be sharing the story that our finances tell about where we are, what we value, and how we can align our systems to best fulfill our promise to our students. So what you see on the screen is a brief overview of the topics in my presentation. We'll jump right in. So I wanted to just orient us all with the budget process. So the budget cycle is a 15-month process. Starts in June of a year, ends 15 months later in September of the following year. And there's quarterly check-ins every 3 months. Every 3 months we have a bit more data to share. Next slide, please. There we go. Up, too far. There we go. So what this slide shows us is the last budget cycle. So the 15-month period, all 5 check-ins. This is meant to be transparency for our budgeting practices. And what you see here is at each cycle, the check-in with the board and the community and how our projections have evolved. So I like putting this slide together and putting this data together in this way because I feel like it gives a comprehensive look at our expenditures. So dating back to 2017-18, all the way to current and the future 3 years of budget, you get to see the summary of all of our expenditures broken down by each category. What I want you to focus on is the purple bars. Our expenditures have increased by 50% in just 4 short years. 50% in just 4 short years. Second thing I want you to pay attention to on this graph is the green bar. And we spend over 80% of our costs on our staff. Next up, this is a historical view of all of our positions. And as you see over the last 10 years, we've significantly increased our staff count. about 30% increase over that time period. While over the same course of time, we declined in enrollment from 6,700 students to 5,700. So this graph shows the general fund revenue versus expense. And the biggest takeaway is we are spending more than we are bringing in. The graph just is a visual of that. So I wanted to show this slide because not for the specifics of the numbers, but because I think it gives a good visual of the components that are leading to our structural deficit. So in this slide, you'll see there's the revenue growth on the left, where it says base growth. So we might grow by 2% in revenue. Then you have all these factors that are outpacing our revenue growth from the expenditure side. So things like salary schedule increases, step and column increases, inflation, pension, insurance premiums. And for us, our special education contribution, which this year was $25.5 million. So next, I wanted to touch on our special education programs, one of our biggest programs and most important programs. You know, in alignment with our equity beliefs, our students with special needs are very important. And so it's important that we have the resources to meet them where they are and get them that individualized support. So one of the realities of this program, which is so important, is the cost. So you can see in the purple-ish, is that fuchsia? In that purple-ish color, kind of shows that our cost per student has increased by 48% over the last 6 years. The green shows our percentage of students with IEPs and how the proportion of our student body has grown over the last 5 years by 54.5%. And the red bars just show that over the last 4 years, the contribution required from the general fund has grown by 84%, from that 13.8 million to 25.5. Next up, wanted to go through a few of our local, some of the factors in our local economy that we're watching and that are particular to us. So our property tax growth has slowed. Last year, we saw a 6% increase, this year a 2%. Next year, we're already seeing some unfavorable signs, some indicators that tell us that our growth might not be as robust as we've seen in the past. You can look down the street to 23andMe, which just sold for 47% of what it sold for in 2019. And so those types of transactions in the commercial real estate market are triggering Prop 8 reductions, excuse me, which are not to the advantage of Sunnyvale School District. Next, I wanted to briefly talk about the fair market value adjustments. This is a requirement that we have, and in order to explain what this is, I want you to think of a home. So if you buy a home and that home appreciates, until you sell that home, you don't actually get the revenue from the higher value. So for us, we have cash, just like all the districts in the county, we have cash in the county's bank account, and they invest that cash. So at the end of the year, we have to book an adjustment to reflect the appreciation of the investments they've made with our cash. What it does to our books is it reflects revenue that is unspendable. So it can mask the structural deficit that we have because we're recognizing revenue. So right now we have $1.2 million of this unspendable revenue in our general fund ledger. So I just wanted to point that out. All right. Next, after school programs. Very important program. Our community has expressed the importance of this program, but one of the realities is even though we got a one-time bump in funding this year, we are still operating at a deficit in that program. Measure Y parcel tax, we were able to pass that due to the great support of our community, which extended a $1.1 million revenue stream for 8 years for us. Also, trends we're watching, our enrollment is slightly down year over year, from 1 year ago today to the data we have from today. It's down 1.2%, but our TK enrollment is up about 17% from last year. We've been doing a lot, for our community. Some of the things we've done is we've contributed to a few city projects like the Lakewood Library and also the Columbia Neighborhood Center. Utility costs are up about 13% year over year. Insurance premiums up about 20%. We were able to upgrade our Wi-Fi's in all classrooms, but that was about $1.5 million for that investment. And we were also able to secure some filtered water bottle filling stations across all of our sites. So some real exciting things for us, but I just wanted to point out some of the highlights of the year. Next, I want to talk about our programs briefly. Homeschool transportation, we've been expanding, serving over 700 students now, and we see measurable impact of that program by the improved attendance of those students. Our arts and music programs, so we get a grant to support those programs, pays for roughly 4 teachers, and it gives the sites a bit of discretionary funds to spend as well. Also, the general fund supports the programs in one way by funding the Starting Arts contract, which was just over $300,000 for us last year. Next up, Kids Learning After School, KLAS program. And you can see the numbers of the structural deficit in that program. We brought in about $4 million, but we spent about $5 million. The Science Camp program, so we were glad to be able to send about 600 of our students and 30 of our staff members to Science Camp for a total cost of about $360,000, $573 per attendee. We also were very pleased to receive donations of about $40,000 from our parents and Sunnyvale Education Foundation, so really appreciate the support. Also, our child nutrition, last but not least, our child nutrition program. We've been expanding our scratch cooking. Last year, we served over 1 million meals. We were able to do some great things in that program. Eliminate plastic wraps last year, and this year, we moved to eco-friendly utensils. So all these fun, exciting things in that program, but the program does require a contribution from the general fund of about $557,000. So next, our reserves. So for a community-funded district, having a healthy reserve is very important. As we talked about earlier, there are factors that can turn sometimes quicker than the LCFF model. And so our board has a local resolution to maintain a 20% reserve. From the last time I presented the budget in June to now, you'll see a small uptick in that last year. In June, it was 9.7% reserves. Now it's up to 10.4%. Again, some of that is due to the unspendable revenue that is in our books. So what this slide tells me is that there's work to be done. We've done a lot in a short period of time, and so we just want to make sure that we are proactive and able to maintain our quality of program for our students. And so the road ahead, and kind of in summary, our property taxes are slowing. Our expenditures are up 50% in just 4 years. Staffing is over 80% of our costs. Costs are generally trending up with program and staff expansions. And simply we're spending more than we're bringing in. And so we are trying to have a proactive approach to this to maintain that and sustain effective programs. And so, as always, we end where we start. That's why we're all here with our promise. And so, as we continue to work together to align our ecosystems to be most favorable to our students and their success, we keep the students in mind in everything we do. So with that, I will move to any questions that you have about this presentation.
Okay. Should we have public comment first?
You can't order here.
So this is a different order for us, so. So for superintendent report, usually there isn't public comment, is that right? Correct, okay, so board, any questions or thoughts that you wanna share? It is not public comment because it's under the superintendent report.
There'll be public comment on it when it's the action.
Or discussion item, yeah. But if you have a clarifying question or you have any questions for Mr. Cuffey or for Superintendent Crossway.
Hi, Mr. Cuffey. Thank you so much for your presentation. This is a bit different than our last update, and it's very concerning. What do you see for us in terms of writing the budget and making sure that we can ensure quality programming?
Yeah, great question. I think at this point, we're in the stage of understanding where we are. And everything that we're doing, we're really analyzing in a way that maybe we weren't in the past. So for instance, contracts that are coming through, we are analyzing, we are vetting them and really asking tough questions about them. How is this gonna lead to student success? We have a soft, what one might call a soft hiring freeze, where every vacancy, we're trying to use that opportunity to just talk about the position, see, not that we wanna end services, but how can we maybe continue services in a different way, more efficient way. So these are some of the ways that we're at this point, just trying to move in the right direction.
And I mean, I would also add is just that at the end of the day, we also want to make sure that we're protecting what happens in the classroom, our staff, and understanding that what we're experiencing here in Sunnyvale is not unique to Sunnyvale. This is something that's happening across the state. And, there's concerns about inflation. Since the pandemic, costs have increased, just as our families are experiencing higher costs with transportation, gas, utilities, food. It also affects us as school districts as well. And at the same time, we want to maintain and improve the quality of services for our students and staff and families.
Isabel?
Yes, I have a question. I know that we've been kind of reorganizing and cleaning, seeing where everything is going, as you say, knowing where we are at before we take any measure. Do you have any idea about any measures that will need to be moving other than hire freeze in organization wise? And also, I wanted to know how you calculate the number. Well, I suppose if you take per student in the IEP is about, you say 37%, and then the other kids are about 25%, sorry, 27,000, and the other kids are about 25,000 per pupil per year. Am I right? If I divide 157 million between the 5,700 students, I have 27,500 around each per kid per year. So in a way, if we want to know where are we per year, which one will be the number?
Great question. So we're talking about the numbers in the purplish fuchsia, not sure what that is. Those numbers, that is strictly the cost of the special education program, the total cost, divided by the number of students with IEPs. So that's how we get to the cost per student. And what I was trying to showcase here was just over the 6-year period, the cost per student has increased by that 48%. So the general takeaway here is just cost of services continue to rise. And that's just a reality that we have to, like you said, we have to know where we are. The services are incredibly important. So it is a reality to our budget that we can't do anything about. But it's good to understand that because it does put pressure on the rest of the budgets, and we have to be very efficient with everything. So this is one slide I just wanted to point out some of the challenges that just the economy, the state of the economy and inflation, the rate of the cost of services that we have to deal with.
And what is the number? I've heard that there is a magic number for a type of schools that we should be trying to spend between personnel and services. You say that we're about 80%.
Yeah, so we're about 83%, and usually it'll be between 75 to 80, so we're a little bit above that number, but not too far off from the range as well. And the reality is that school districts, most of our resources go to staff, and that's not going down. And then you think about STIRS and PERS, those numbers are continuing to increase, as well as benefits, other benefits. So squeeziness.
Yeah, the green bar here kind of speaks to that question.
I appreciate the transparency around where we are and where we need to go, and I think that's very important as we bring the community along as well, because there will be some changes, we recognize that, but also we're all here together for the students, and I appreciate you bringing this information to us in this way.
Yeah, thank you, and I think also with I think there's an opportunity for some creativity and, really, I think looking at the programs in a really critical mission clarity way is going to be really positive overall. So thank you very much. I'm really glad that we're keeping students first. So.
Thank you so much, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. So we're going to go down the line. Trustee Perfetta, would you like to start with your report?
Hi. So some things that I did or attended, Lakewood Village Neighborhood Association, I'm part of them, and I helped put together our community picnic, and it was a nice outcome. We had the mayor come out, Eileen Lee was there, we had Patrick Kirby, he was out there too, and Autumn Lee's people were there, Patrick Aaron's people were there, so it was really nice to see everyone come out and support the community. We had a fire engine there, the kids loved, going to the fire engine, looking at it. We had barbecue, burgers, so it was a really nice event, and people got to meet new neighbors that's been there, but just people coming together. It was really nice. I also went, I presented at our Fairwood 101 presentation for volunteers. One was virtual and one was in person, and that went very well. We just had our Fairwood Alliance board meeting, and then we also had a back to school picnic, and it was nice to see new kids and families come. And then as well as, old families that's been there to connect. And yesterday we had a rosary novena for a good friend that just passed.
Well, let's see, I'll start with today we did a great visit to SMS and we saw the kids using the new spaces. They were amazing. The spaces and the kids, and the way how they are utilized is very, very nice to see the complexion from after seeing it from conception. Well, during other than, I forgot last time to add some of the site visits that I did with Trustee Watson and Trustee Brewster, so I'll add them for my next report. And the big thing this period was the CLSBA conference during the weekend, last week. I was there since Wednesday evening, all the way until Sunday. And it was a great conference. We presented as Santa Clara CSBA, we presented with the Legislation Action Committee, and we presented our advocacy work and gave a guide to other counties how to work hard advocating for the kids. We also, I was also I was the chair of the committee for the event, so I was also busy with some last minute things and presenting and going to the mic when it was necessary. And it was a great conference. Everybody seemed very engaged and very happy to be there. And as in difference to the AAC that is in December, somehow this gets a little bit more intimate than the thousands of people that go to AAC. This one we had a little bit under 400 people, but it's also very, it's like we all have the same heart and the same goal towards the kids and towards equity, and is stated in every presentation, in every keynote speaker. They have very interesting life and very interesting paths to get where they are and how they got to be who they are today. And we even had some candidates go there and take their speech why we should vote for them in the next election. So it was a very interesting conference in general, and we all had, the ones that we went there, we miss you a lot. We had some opportunities to engage with each other and also share good moments. Thank you for going.
Yeah, so that conference, so CLSBA is California Latino School Board Association. And it was a great event, and I just wanted to, Isabel mentioned it, that she is on the board of directors for that, and I'm just grateful for her leadership there and what she provides for that, like that board, but then also in turn that affects all of the districts in the state. And so thank you so much for all of your service, and it was a great conference, a lot of good stuff. So I appreciate being able to be there and appreciate all of you for it. And then I'm gonna take, I usually don't do this, but I'm gonna do a little bit of an Eileen, kind of a personal, not directly related to school board, but just stuff that's going on or whatever. Whew. You guys know I'm a crier, I cry very easily, sorry. So just with what happened last week, I really was taking a look and like, what can I do? Like, I am not a violent person, nor will I ever be a violent person, but what can I do to make our country better? And so I just want to share with you guys that the commitment, I don't know how I'm going to do it, it's really hard, but my commitment of not looking at the other side as the enemy or that they're evil, I'm like, I have to do better. And so that's kind of my, from the stuff that happened last week, that is my personal commitment, is as much as I disagree with them, I have to look at them differently. And so just wanted to share with you, that's kind of my personal challenge that I'm taking on from the recent events.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for coming here with your heart. So I attended a few more back to school nights, including San Miguel's and Cherry Chase last week. I was really pleased that the schedule's been such for the back to school nights that we've been able to attend many. And it's been really wonderful to see the parents out meeting their teachers and building community with each other and learning how to support students at each school site. Having gone to several back to school nights, there are a couple questions I had just in terms of some noticings I had. The childcare was kind of not always the same. The opportunities for childcare, whether or not there would be childcare, was not the same at campus to campus, nor was language access. Translation services for all of the classrooms. So I'm hoping that we can look at that as we're going into open houses and back to school nights again, to make sure that everybody has access. I also attended a construction meeting at Sunnyvale Middle School with some neighbors. We have lost some trust in our neighbors, and I must credit both Mr. Cuffey and Mr. Burns for bringing together a presentation about what we are doing in terms of the construction around SMS. This is for the neighbors that weren't as informed as they should have been, and now we will continue to rebuild that trust with them. So I thought that was a very difficult conversation, and I was proud of how we showed up. Please pass this along to Brent as well, and also see this as a great opportunity for us to continue having these conversations with the community as we're building and continuing to repair and rebuild trust there. I also attended my first CLSBA Unity Conference, and that was just so inspirational to be in roomfuls of educators and trustees that were committed to public schools and leading public schools. And many of us had come through the system, and the system did not serve them well. And yet they still found a way. And I found that just so inspirational to be in a room with that kind of energy and with that kind of thinking. I finally met the famed Dr. Victor Rios and his colleague, Dr. Cassandra Villa, and heard their life stories. He is known for reframing that students, instead of being at risk, they're at promise, and to recognize assets instead of deficiencies in our students, and to reimagine schooling in that way. And I was also really pleased to meet in person Dr. Robin Aguilar-LaSalle, who also speaks to how our public school systems don't necessarily, they have the outcomes that they were meant, that they're designed to. And also, there are so many opportunities to change the system and work for all students. And it was just a really inspirational and invigorating conference. I was so happy to be there. There is one thing that I think is the board trustee of San Diego Unified School District, Dr. Cody Pedersen. He talked about going through the San Diego School District, Unified School District, and just doing wonderfully. And he reflected back and he said, I was just welcomed, and this is a white man, and he was in La Jolla. This is like a very rich part of San Diego. And he said, and it's because I was treated like a golden child. And we should all of our children should be treated like a golden child, right? We should have the same expectations for all of our students. And I felt like there's a lot of emotion in the room, because I think we all recognized that, yes, maybe some of us were also treated like a golden child going up, but that's not the case for everybody. And it was just kind of like a call to action and solidarity. Let's make that happen. This is what our schools should be. Thank you.
Thank you. So I agree that California Latino School Boards Association, as an association, is pretty amazing. It's statewide, and if you haven't already gotten your tickets for the luncheon, you should put in that order now, because those tickets are going to sell out, and they will also have powerful speakers at the annual education conference. But thank you, Isabel, again, for all your work on that, and thanks for your leadership for that too. Okay, I just wanted to say that it is Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th to October 15th. In my own ESL class that I teach at FUHSD in the adult school, we read this third grade Scholastic News article about Enrique Alejandro, a student podcaster with a channel called Diabetic Super Kid. And he shares the way to make his favorite traditional Mexican dishes with recipes modified to accommodate people with type 1 diabetes. So it's a mix of nutrition and cultural love and heritage and like family. And he's this cute little kid who does these funny little dances on TikTok while he's cooking up a storm. But it was just so positive for my adult English learner students to, you know, even if they weren't from Mexico, they recognized this idea of like food and love and culture and like connection while they were learning all about text features and building vocabulary. And I want to really commend Teaching and Learning, all the teams for putting together the slide deck for resources for Hispanic Heritage Month for this month. So thank you for doing that because I know it's just nice to have resources out there. And I'm gonna send in all of my other stuff, all my other activities to the district, and they'll be in the minutes. And along with, I just sent Dr. Crosthwaite some save the dates for some additional events happening through SCCSBA. Okay, so now we are on to item D, which is the Sunnyvale Education Association. If there's an official representative online, please use the raise hand feature now. Okay, seeing none. Item 9E, the California School Employees Association. If there's an official representative online, please use the raise hand feature now. Okay, seeing none, our new item for the night, item 9F, Sunnyvale Education Foundation. I see a couple of possible official representatives in the room. Please welcome to the microphone, and sorry for the minor clerical error.
Thank you so much for adding us back to the agenda. That made our week exciting. My name is Katie Rowland. I'm the Vice President of the Sunnyvale Education Foundation, and I'm here with our President, Michelle Eugenie, as well as Courtney Jensen, who is our Programs Chair. And I'm here tonight to present several grants to the Sunnyvale School District. So thanks, Arthur, for making this moment extra special for us all. We are really pleased to award $10,000 to San Miguel. That's going to support the production of Frozen. So the students are going to get to let it all go and all those fun things. So you should all come out in March. And then supporting our Bishop Bobcats with just under $2,000 for a Drum Perks assembly, easing the way into the performing arts transition with a great assembly on teamwork. And this is just the first installment of over $100,000 that we'll be giving to every single one of our schools this year. And that is meant to support enriching educational opportunities. The other thing that's in the check is $4,000, and this is to support inclusive library initiatives at all 10 sites in the Sunnyvale School District to be managed by the Central Librarian, Julie Griffin. So we're really excited about those things. And finally, I'd like to invite you all to come hang out with us tomorrow evening at the San Miguel Elementary PTA Welcome Picnic, where you'll get to see the Ceph Sensory Tent in use at a full event for the very first time. And on Saturday, we'll be at the State of the City with a booth, and we're really excited to celebrate the two former Sunnyvale Education Foundation board members who are being deservedly recognized for their contributions to our community. So advanced congratulations to Trustee Watson and Elsa Nunez, and thank you all so much for your partnership.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to item 10, public comments. This is the time to talk about things that are not on the agenda. I do have two cards. If this portion of the agenda provides an opportunity for members of the public to directly address the governing board on any item of interest to the public. However, provisions of the Brown Act, Government Code 54954, 2.2a and 0.3 preclude any action being taken on an item not appearing on the posted agenda. Time limits allocated to public testimony are 3 minutes per person and 20 minutes for public comments. Speakers are asked to give their name and affiliation so that an accurate record can be reflected in the minutes. So I see two cards. Are there any more? No. Okay, perfect. So, are there any online? 3. There are three for things that are not on the agenda. Okay, so just as a reminder, folks, if this is the time for things that are not on the agenda. And I have 2 cards in person, 3 folks online. I'd like to invite to the podium first, Mr. J. Yamanaga from Sunnyvale Sister City Association, and then after that will be Ms. Courtney Jansen.
Good evening, members of the Sunnyvale School District Board. My name is Jay Yamanaga, and I am Vice President, Board Member, and Student Exchange Program Leader for the Sunnyvale Sister City Association. I come before the board to thank you and the students, teachers, and administration at Columbia Middle School and Sunnyvale Middle School for your continuing support of our student exchanges and to give you an update on our 2025 and 2026 programs. Since 2014, with your support, SSCA has sent over 150 students to Japan. From June 17th to June 26th, 20 students from Columbia Middle School, Sunnyvale Middle School, Fremont High School, and Homestead High School, and 5 adult chaperones traveled to Japan, visiting Tokyo and also Sunnyvale's sister city of Iizuka. As part of this trip, each delegate stayed with a homestay family in Iizuka and attended school there for a few days. After hosting Iizuka delegates in March of this year, it was wonderful to watch the bonds between our 2 cities continue to grow. I wanted to give a special thank you to the 5 adult chaperones who accompanied the student delegation and supported our students during the trip, as well as a thank you to all of the Iizuka City school staff, teachers, students at the 4 schools in Iizuka that we visited, and of course all the Iizuka homestay families who welcomed our students and made this family such a great success. In 2026, we will again be hosting 20 students from Iizuka, Japan in March, and we plan on sending 20 students to visit Tokyo and Iizuka again in June. Our program applications are due at the end of September, and I'm very much looking forward to meeting this year's talented applicants. And finally, I want to express my gratitude for all the collaborative support that we receive from the Sunnyvale School District, Columbia Middle School, and Sunnyvale Middle School, including Superintendent Crosswhite, President Watson, Principal Poe, who is here tonight, Principal Iwasaki, who was also here earlier tonight, and our school volunteer facilitators, Jesse Weinstock and Julie Ledwig. And I also want to thank our 5 adult chaperones from 2025, including Jesse Weinstock and Pilar Boisvert. I'm looking forward to another great program in 2026, and thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to giving you an update as we continue our programs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is Ms. Jansen.
Good evening. My name is Courtney Jansen, San Miguel parent. I'm talking tonight on my own behalf, and I want to talk about communication. So I will start by saying thank you for the communication this year. It has been really good, I will say that. I have appreciated all of the weekly superintendent updates. I've appreciated all of the amazing work on social media and so much more. It has been noticed and we're all very appreciative of it. But my comment tonight is going to push you to go even further. My short version is please share the good with the bad. My longer version is that I found out a bunch of stuff in the last couple of weeks that I did not find out through official district channels. For example, I learned that Fairwood and Lakewood no longer have assistant principals this year than they did before. I also learned that Playworks at San Miguel, which was doing the younger grades, has cut back so that now first graders only get Playworks once a month, and I believe it used to be twice a month. And as a parent, I did not know about these things unless I just happened to ask the right person. I also know, again, just by asking, that we have some amazing music teachers now on hand that we did not have in the district last year. We were having to use, I think, Starting Arts. And so that's a piece of good news that I didn't get official communication from. And I think I'm saying it would be great to get that official communication. And the reason that we need the bad news in addition to the good news, there's several reasons, but one, if you don't share the bad news with us, we start to wonder about the good news. So trust us, we're parents, we're partners, we're members of the school community. We want to know everything that you're working through. We saw a great presentation by Dr. Cuffey, 20 minutes ago, and it painted a very somber picture that parents need to know in the district. We need to know because we need to know that if we don't fund things like Measures Y and the bonds, we're not going to get these programs. When, hopefully, we come asking for more money in the future, people need to know why it's important. And we need to know if we don't have it, what do we lose? And we also need to know who to bug. So for example, the Playworks cutting at San Miguel, I don't know if I'm supposed to go yell at my trustee, if I'm supposed to go yell at the superintendent, but maybe it's my state representative or it's my, well, federal representatives are a separate thing right now, but I don't know who to go to help support you guys in your effort to bring the best education possible. So the communication has been great, it's much improved, but please keep going, and we are your partners and we want to know about this so we can help make it even better. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move to our speakers online.
We have Crystal Ortiz followed by Jesse.
You may begin.
Hi, my name is Crystal Ortiz, and I'm a parent of 2 children at Bishop and also a member of Bishop Elementary School Site Council. My issue has to do with safety and neglect, also violating Section 504/ADA, which prohibits disability discrimination, requires accommodations in all programs, including after-school program. School staff, November 2023, taped up my son's foot with tape and napkins to make an imitation shoe after an incident happened where one of his shoes was lost after recess, hence the lack of supervision since no staff members saw the incident. They called and asked if I could bring him another pair, which I said yes, but I wanted to speak to a principal. When I got there, the shoe was found. Schools and programs have a responsibility to keep students safe and supervised. If staff are untrained and not qualified to handle behaviors tied to a disability and children getting excluded instead of being supported, that's a failure of duty of care. My son at the time was having severe separation anxiety and aggression, so me being his mother was heartbroken that he was put in such a situation. Also, in November of 2021, November 21st, 2024, my son got dropped from an after-school program, which I had complained to the program director and filed a district complaint after staff informed me that my son was being aggressive, so that he had to call another counselor in to redirect him. When I asked what the form of redirection was, the counselor who was watching my son said that he tickled him. I then told him that it's not a form of redirection. I believe no parent would approve of such care and would make sure that this gets corrected. I filed the district complaint, but believe nothing was followed through with, despite the district saying it was. I plan to take this all the way up the furthest it goes to get my story out there and to be heard so that changes can be made. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Jesse.
Hello, this is Jessie Jarecki, former SMS parent and current Vargas parent. I wanted to comment that with congratulations on entering being approved to join the League of, what was the term exactly? Innovative Schools. I went and looked at their website, and it seems to talk a lot about AI, and I've heard a lot about AI in various board meetings as well. And I just wanted to express some concern that I have about AI in the classroom. Specifically, right now, the way that a lot of AI programs are set up, they often produce false results, and there's no with absolute certainty. So it is very difficult for adults and let alone children to be able to tell when the information that they are receiving from the AI is false. In addition, there have been many stories recently of people being trained to believe conspiracy theories and led into suicidal thoughts and actions. There have been several stories in the news. So I just want to make sure that the district is really considerate in their policies in implementing any AI in the classroom, especially with how untested and how uncertain the technology is. And I just also further want to say that there are some programs that are being targeted to the schools that are, I think, morally suspect. For example, there's one program that has been marketed to schools that has recreated Anne Frank as a bot you can speak to, and she often answers in with excusing the Holocaust. So overall, I just want to make sure as we move to be an innovative school district that we are being considerate. I'm not asking that there's no AI ever. I just want to make sure that whatever use is done in an equitable, fair, and reasonable manner with as much safety as humanly possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, that's it. Okay, great. Thank you for that. And we are on to item 11, public hearings, public notice of sufficiency of instructional materials. Dr. Tashi.
Thank you. Good evening, board. This is an annual responsibility we have to stay in compliance with regards to instructional materials for our students. In addition to this item tonight, following, we have a responsibility to report this information to Santa Clara Office of Education. We also, as a part of this process, provided a 10-day notice across the district and also here at the district office in order to support that. As a part of this process, there's a Williams visit, and this process was modified by Governor Newsom October 8, 2021, and looked at the criteria for how selection of schools would be moving forward to be selected. This school year we have, and will be for next year as well at this time, 2 school sites that were selected. We have Cherry Chase as well as Vargas Elementary School that were selected to be a part of the Williams visit. And just to clarify, that's a process by which the county comes to check our resources and materials to see whether we are equipped or not. We have not gotten our final report on that, but that will be forthcoming. In addition to that, tonight, asking for your review and vote regarding our sufficiency of instructional materials. I won't go through all of the areas on the resolution, but the area I wanted to highlight more specifically, because it's an area that we're working on as a school district and will be a part of one of our major reasons for moving forward this school year with some type of pilot for our English language development and English language arts. So currently, when the process for sufficiency of materials and Williams was reauthorized, it also includes English language development materials. So as a result, we have some outdated materials. We've been using integrated ELD, and so we do not have thorough sufficiency of materials in that particular area, which is going to be leading and guiding our pilot for this year. So that would be a new area on this sufficiency area that you would be voting on this evening with regards to our materials for the district. And with that, looking for your review and vote regarding our sufficiency of instructional materials.
Okay, any clarifying questions before, Board, any clarifying questions before we open to public comments at the hearing, public hearing? Okay, so let's see, so I'm now opening the public hearing at 7:38 p.m. If there's any member of the public online who wishes to speak on this item, please use the raise hand feature now. If there's anyone in here in the room, I need a blue card. Seeing none. Okay, we're gonna give it a minute. Long minute. So I believe I opened the public hearing at 7:39. It's still 7:39. It's still 7:39, so we're still waiting on that. I mean, I'm just watching it. 7:40, we're gonna close the public meeting at the public hearing at 7:40. So board, there is a resolution regarding that we're gonna pass, is slated to pass regarding the public notice of sufficiency of instructional materials. It is resolution 2506. Can I get a motion for the purposes to approve so that we can discuss or approve?
Sure, I move to approve the Sunnyvale School District Resolution R 2506, sufficiency of instructional materials.
I second.
Great. Okay, does anyone wanna say anything about any part of the resolution? I have a thought, but.
Would like. So I just wanted to follow up on Dr. Dean, what you just mentioned about we don't currently have sufficient ELD materials. And just going over the wording, to be clear, the intentions for this year. It says that the district is currently undertaking a board-approved pilot for ELD, ELA, SLA, instruction material adoption, and interim pilot materials will be used with the intent to formally adopt and implement board-approved ELD curriculum upon completion of the pilot process and subsequent board action. I just want to make sure that the language here that I'm reading is we will be doing a pilot this year. And what is the timeline for adoption as far as you know?
As far as the timeline, we have not established that as yet, because we're gonna basically reorganize, because we started the process last year, and so we will revamp the process this year to ensure that all teachers and staff who want to participate, and also there's been some changes with timelines with state adopted materials, so we want to ensure that teachers have an opportunity to be aware of what is available so that we can choose which particular materials we will pilot and move forward with. So you'll be getting more information as we solidify the process, the timeline and selection criteria, and the other details that go with that process.
I had a question actually about those same two sentences. When it says interim pilot materials will be used with the intent to formally adopt and implement board-approved ELD curriculum upon completion of the pilot, does that mean that it will be used just by the people in the pilot, or will it be shared with other educators?
At this time, it would be those that are involved in the pilot. We do have materials, but they're not state approved. And so, so teachers are actually using classroom units and other materials that they have. And so they have materials, so we haven't gotten to the process to decide whether or not these additional materials will be being used throughout the entire district, because we're right at the beginning of the process to establish what we have the capacity to do with the vendors that we end up deciding to utilize.
So classroom units, what does that mean? That they're using classroom units? Are these materials that are available to all teachers across all the school sites, or are they different site to site?
They do vary site to site, and we are using some integrated materials that are from current ELA content areas and then also teacher created materials currently.
Let me try to add some additional clarification there. We have these materials at school sites and they vary from site to site. However, at Cherry Chase and at Vargas, we did not have state adopted materials for ELD. And so what the resolution is, it acknowledges that we did not have those materials and that we came forward and openly shared that information with the county office. However, we are moving forward with the pilot, and the intent is to use the pilot to present a recommendation to the board at a later time. Hope that helps.
By the end of the year?
Yes.
Okay, so like as long as, I think maybe we could clarify that. I think I saw an earlier draft where it was talking about with the intent to adopt by the end of the school year. would it be possible to add that in there as a, just because that's what we're planning on doing anyway, and it would just make it feel more time boxed to me, because that's our commitment. So could we say, and like will be used with the intent to formally adopt and implement board approved ELD curriculum upon completion of the pilot at the conclusion of the 25-26 school year. So just right after the word pilot, says something about at the conclusion of this school year. Okay. All right. With that amendment, any other comments or
I think the people who made the motions have to make the amendment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you please include that amendment that we're gonna say after the word pilot at the conclusion of
So
the.
you don't have to say the whole thing, you could just say the amendment that we're just saying.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
So I changed my motion to approve the resolution, but with the amendment that Bria just made.
Okay, second. Excellent. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Great, chair votes aye and the motion passes. All right, we are on to the big event. So all these lovely people are here for the study session, 12A. Lots of clue cards, presenters ready, very excited. So I will turn it over, looks like to Dr. Valentine. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, good evening, President Watson, Board of Trustees, staff, and members of the public. I'm Christina Valentine, she, her, hers, and I'm the Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment, and I'm also the founding principal of the Juntos program. On behalf of staff, I am very proud to present about the Juntos, an overview of the Juntos program to the Board of Trustees, and I also want to start by saying thank you so much for your support of this unique and impactful program. I'd also like to recognize Principals Ybarra and Principals Poe for their dedication and commitment to the Juntos program at both San Miguel and Columbia Middle School. Thank you both for your passion and hard work for this program. And a quick note, we normally do translate our Juntos slides in the past, and we'll work to do that after tonight's meeting. And I don't know how to use the clicker well. Next slide, please. We're gonna start first with an overview of the Juntos program goals. In 2013, the superintendent gave Principal Valentine, that's me, the direction to develop a program of choice that would both increase student enrollment at San Miguel and foster student identity. At the site level, the team really thought about what could we do to develop a program of choice that would lead to transformational change? What could we do to build on the assets of our community that are sometimes seen as detriments, and so make them positives rather than negatives, and how can we increase student enrollment? So then in the 2 years between 2013 and 2015, the group planned and thought about what the DLI program would be at San Miguel School. The first group of kindergartners began in 2015, and throughout the next few school years, the team really thought about how can we develop a DLI program, a dual language program, that meets our vision and mission of creating bilingual, biliterate, and bicultural students. Really fostering global citizenship. And there's a really lovely mission and vision statement that's at the school level. During that time period, the team was working on developing each grade level as the students progressed through the program and worked on developing. In 2019, and from the inception of the program, the team began to think about what a middle school model would look like. Knowing that we had looked at other programs, we knew that creating a middle school DLI program is challenging, and in many places doesn't exist in the same way that it exists in our current district, in our district currently. So for example, how can we develop a program that manages to have Spanish language arts as a core class and also an elective choice, so Spanish language arts doesn't take the place of an elective, and also how do we maintain after school opportunities? This isn't always common in DLI programs as they move into secondary, and it was important for the team, students, staff, and parents at the time that these were separate. And I think at the time, the Board of Trustees made a thoughtful decision to staff
Columbia in this way because it is additional staffing required to provide this extra course at middle school. Which brings us to today. We're at 2025, it's the 10-year anniversary of the program. Happy birthday, Juntos. And the question is how do we evaluate the program? It's developed, but how do we evaluate successes of the program as well as opportunities and develop next steps? Next slide, and it says the TV is going to turn off automatically here. Okay, so the good news is the program is thriving at both Columbia and San Miguel. Is it perfect? No, I don't know if we're ever gonna hit perfection, but there are many highlights and there are things to work on. I also know that many districts and schools have visited both sites to learn from both San Miguel and Columbia. The program now runs TK through 8th grade, and we have freshmen and sophomores at Fremont Union High School. We also know that we made a thoughtful decision to uncouple the 4th and 5th grade combination classes, which was originally a program design based on student enrollment, which again, thank you to the Board of Trustees for making the decision to staff the program at these levels. Curriculum instruction and assessments are established and are double than what they are at other schools because we're learning Spanish and English, as well as all the other content areas. The Seal by Literacy Pathway Awards have been established, and Juntos students were the trailblazers across the district. So now that we're rolling out Seal by Literacy Pathways across the district, Juntos students were the first ones to receive these recognitions. At both school sites, bilingual staff has been increased in both certificated and classified. And I do want to highlight that our special education's bilingual staff has also been increased at both sites. This was a thoughtful decision at both the school sites and deliberate. Family feedback, I think you've heard some of it at public sessions, but we've generally heard that this program recognizes and elevates the cultural capital of our families. And I think it was mentioned earlier, but want to celebrate the Baile Folklorico group that's recognized by the city of Sunnyvale, which is Juntos students run by Juntos parents, but just an amazing recognition of and a build off of the program. Student enrollment has increased at both school sites, and demographic changes have happened as a result as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about student achievement in English language arts and Spanish language arts, and as a highlight. Next slide, please. I mentioned some demographic shifts in enrollment, and that was one of the original program factors when designing. As you can see in the blue bars at San Miguel and Columbia, enrollment over the last few years has increased. If you look at the light green bars, that's the number of Juntos students at each school site, and you can see the difference in percentage at both San Miguel and Columbia. At San Miguel, the Juntos program is significantly more of the population than it is at Columbia. And then the light gray is the neighborhood or non-Juntos track. Next slide, please. Thank you. I also mentioned some demographic shifts in our demographic shifts, and I want to call out socioeconomically disadvantaged populations and English learner populations, and these are state labels and terms, and I would like to spell them out, but there's not enough room on the slide. It'd be hard to read. But what we see here is the dark blue and the dark green are the socioeconomically disadvantaged and the English learners at San Miguel and how they've changed over time, declining over time. The dark blue is socioeconomically disadvantaged. The dark green is English learners. Okay. And then when you move down underneath that, then we see all of Sunnyvale, socioeconomically disadvantaged students and English learners. So as you see over time, these populations at San Miguel has declined over time, but across the district, it's remained relatively stable. So just to point out demographic shifts. Next slide, please. I think sometimes I've heard a question around Hispanic student success in the Juntos program, and we do want to recognize that it has been great. And also, we wanted to pull out a snapshot of data because we think we also can see initially that the Juntos population at San Miguel is also a little bit different than Juntos populations at other school sites. So this is a quick snapshot that we did this year of San Miguel Juntos to a Title I similar school, Hispanic students. And we see that the socioeconomically disadvantaged populations are different, so lower at San Miguel than a comparable school, and that the college degrees are, education is higher at San Miguel than at a similar Title I site. Again, a snapshot worth looking into further, but worth pointing out. Next slide, please. Something that's been a wondering is student achievement, and just want to again highlight that Juntos students are working on their bilingualism and biliteracy, so English language arts and Spanish language arts. So I know that Principal Ybarra would say, hey, they actually need to be flipped, but we'll start with English language arts. So we can see here that we pulled out Juntos data compared to other Title I schools, and even compared against San Miguel itself as an overall school, Juntos, and neighborhood program. And we can see here that consistently, like we keep working on our student data, and our students are achieving at higher levels of proficiency. I also want to call out that you should look at this data by groups, not by years. And the reason being is, if you look at the very bottom, 2022, 2023, that data pool and that assessment was done in January versus the 23-24 data was completed and pulled in May. And the 24-25 data was pulled and completed in March. And that just has to do with assessment calendar. So you really look at the year as opposed to years comparison. Next slide, please. So here's our Spanish language arts data. Again, it's important to call this out because our students are developing proficiency in both languages. This is cohorted data, so you look at a blue, a green, and a gray together, and it's those students over grade level. So the first group is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The second group is 4th, 5th, 6th, and the last group is 5th, 6th, 7th. But what we see here is like our students, again, when we're getting to 5th grade, we're achieving similar levels of proficiency to English language arts. It's important to call this out because most of their instruction is in Spanish in elementary school, and then we move into English. And there is, I'm gonna leave it on a cliffhanger because we're gonna loop back around to middle school data when I end with high school data. Because we know here that we've seen some areas of focus for us when we move into middle school. Next slide, please. A question around our Hispanic ELA data. Again, we just pull out here that our Hispanic students, again, are doing well in Juntos compared to other Title I sites. Room for us to grow overall. And also, we know that our Hispanic students in Juntos are slightly different. Next slide, please. In math data, we also looked at student achievement overall. A question here could be like, well, do students take the NWA math assessment in Spanish? And they do. So just the language here shouldn't be a barrier. We do have work here to do in mathematics, and I know that both principals are working on that, and is also a trend across the district. Next slide, please. Also just pulled out our student achievement with our Hispanic students in mathematics. Again, here, room for us to grow as it is across the district. And also we see comparable data to all students in Hispanic student groups. Next slide, please. Okay, I know I said I was going to loop back to this when we looked at our Spanish language arts data in middle school. This is probably a good example of the work that the middle school has done. And I know Maestra Carpio is in the space today. When you look at the blue bars, those are students who placed into Spanish in their current as freshmen 2 years ago. So we had 12 students going to Spanish 2, we had 9 students going to Spanish 3. This last year, I know the middle school worked really hard. We had 9 students placed into Spanish 2, but a dramatic increase in Spanish 3 placement. Next slide, please. Okay, with this broad overview, we just want to end with recommendations. So I'd be remiss in saying, again, that we want to maintain the current program supports that Juntos has. Staffing, curricula supports, funding. Juntos program is unique and has unique needs. So please maintain, we'd like to maintain those. And then following that, we really need to go back to that program evaluation next steps. We're at our 10-year anniversary. What do we do next? So we propose that the first step is to do deep data collection, engaging all of our educational partners, staff, students, families, partners, and really identify what should the focus areas be over the course of the year. And then from there, we can identify next steps and timeline. For example, we know we've heard a number of different topics: middle school, high school, student achievement, family engagement, communication, high school placement, all these pieces. Which is the most important for the community? We know this best, and we can confirm when we do broad data collection that is representative of all the families and students and staff in Juntos program. With that, I wanted to N, you'll follow my notes. Thank you again, trustees, for your support of this unique program. Thank you, principals Yabara and Poe, for your hard work and dedication. Thank you, staff members. Thank you, community members. I'll turn the floor back over to President Watson, and I'll be available for questions.
Well, thank you and the team for putting this together. Now it's time for
public comment.
Yes, before we can discuss, we have several blue cards here. If there's any member of the public online who wishes to speak on this item, please use the raised hand feature now. We're gonna go through the cards here in person. It looks like I have 1, 2, 4. I have 5 here. How many online? Sorry?
Put the microphone closer to you.
It was off. Okay, I have 5 cards here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many online? 1. Okay, so that will be fine. Everyone will get 3 minutes each. We have 20 minutes for public comment on this item. So first up, we have Courtney Jansen and then Allison Joe.
Okay, Courtney Jansen, San Miguel parent. I have 2 kids in the Juntos program, a first and a 3rd grader, and I will start by saying we love the program. We're the only family, as far as I know, in the Fairwood district who chose to go to San Miguel, and I hesitated a lot on that decision when we made it, and it was a fantastic decision. We've been super happy with the program, so a huge shout out to the principal and the teachers who have just been great, and of course the community, many of who are here tonight. So sorry, I'm not prepared because I'm going first and I didn't have time to look at the presentation ahead of time because I couldn't find it online. So I guess I will say thank you for the data that was presented so far. It went very quickly. I was trying to catch it. I really appreciate the breakdown of Juntos versus non-Juntos kids at San Miguel and looking at the district. I think there will be more conversations of, okay, how do we make sure that the successes of the Juntos program get extended not just to the non-Juntos kids at San Miguel, but across Title I schools within Sunnyvale. I would be curious to see how enrollment changes. So as a parent, I'm very concerned about when my kids will move to Columbia and the 7:40 start time. I do not know how we are going to make that happen. And I know that has come up before, but I also know that there are families who have dropped out of Juntos because that 7:40 start time doesn't work. And so I'd like to see the enrollment drop, not just year to year, but also as you go from elementary school to middle school, and then again from middle school to high school, and try to understand, are we having an enrollment drop? If so, why? And what can we do about it? It'd be great also to see a little bit more clarity on how many students are getting those bilingual achievement awards that were talked about, just to help one more measurement of the program. And I will stop there because I know there are other people to talk who probably have better comments than I do. But again, it's a great program. We love it. Thank you for sharing the data, and I hope to see more soon.
Thank you. Next up, we have Allison Joe.
Hi, thank you so much for the Juntos presentation. My name is Allison Joe. I'm the mom of a current 5th grade Juntos student and a 9th grade former Juntos student who was part of the 2nd cohort in the program. I attended my first quinceañera this last weekend. There were kids that I had known since kindergarten and 1st grade, now grown into barely recognizable teenagers. It was amazing. The pink dress, la banda, los bailes con los chapalanes, la comida. Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. I danced to Caballo Dorado, La Chona, La Boda de Huitlacoche. And when the DJ gave shout outs to Jalisco, Veracruz, Michoacan, El DF, Oaxaca, Guerrero, I'm clearly not from any of those places, but I knew which families were, and I could see the pride in their faces and the joy in their smiles to be celebrating this milestone tradition. And that speaks to the power of the Juntos program. When my family joined the program, I understood that in addition to the program goals of students becoming bilingual, biliterate, and bicultural, there was an integrative objective of bringing families together from across the district and building a community based on our diverse strengths and resources. Because when we bridge that social capital, we not only get an estadounidense chinita comfortable in the space of a quinceañera, we also get families who may not be stereotypical participants volunteering for the PTA, attending meetings, comfortable advocating and talking with their teachers and administrators and feeling empowered in the school setting, attending school board meetings, and volunteering for school board campaigns. I don't know if this necessarily translates into measurable outcomes, and in data and bridging student achievement gaps. Nevertheless, I'm here to attest that there is 100% value to this program that may or may not be quantifiable in the data. And without a doubt, when we learn together, we're stronger together. Somos más fuertes juntos. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Katie House, and then after that, it'll be Katie Rowland.
Hello, thanks for having us today. I'm Katie House, and I have a 5th grader in the Juntos program. And I just wanted to share how wonderful it's been. And I have, I don't know why I'm so emotional, but it's been a wonderful experience. My daughter is singing, talking, and reading in Spanish. I was doing circles around my Spanish minor, and I love that she wants to listen to her Fluidez playlist every day. Like, she listens to it. She listens to Selena and Celia Cruz and Bomba Estéreo, and she knows all the words, and it is amazing to see. Thank you. How she lights up with all of her friends in the program. So I just wanted to say thank you. It was very important to me to send my daughter to a school that is full of different cultures and different that's me, and different economic backgrounds. And I found out about the Juntos program when she was 8 months old, and I just happened to walk by San Miguel and walked into the FRC. And because I had another friend who was going, and I talked to Maisha there, and I saw Miss Valentine outside, and she was talking about how wonderful the program was, and I needed to get it together and show up at her school in 5 years. And I actually moved out of my house when we found out we were zoned for Santa Clara so that I could come to the Juntos program. And we got our new house, our new keys, and we went right away and got our new driver's license so we could register for Sunnyvale School District and come to this school. And I just want to say thank you to the wonderful teacher staff and principals who made the experience amazing for our family. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Ms. House. Next up is Katie Rowland, and then after that, it'll be Gabriella Conley.
Well, thanks for making me cry too. My name is Katie Rowland. I'm speaking on my own behalf now. I have 2 students in the Juntos program, one at San Miguel and one at CMS. I want to thank you for the attention that the board has invested in the Juntos program. Dr. Valentine, I want to thank you awkwardly when I'm not looking at you for listening to some of the specific requests that we articulated when you all presented in May. Maybe you didn't really respond to them, but you seemed to respond to them, and I want to commend you for the hours that you have invested in this program over the years. It's commendable. I really appreciate it. Many things I would wish to know were in that presentation, and I look forward to actually having a chance to kind of sit through and look at it on my own. We didn't have a chance to do that before this presentation, but what's awesome anyway is that all these people showed up when we had no clue what y'all were going to say. And I think that speaks to the love, affection, and passion that the people who are in the Juntos program have for it, and that's maybe one of the powers of the Juntos program. And I appreciate everyone that's made that possible. Something I didn't see in this presentation that I hope you all explore in terms of data, because I appreciate, Allison, your flavor, and I'm gonna say also data. So I'll be that person, you be that person, and we may even plan it. One is reclassification rates. Okay, we're supposed to be bilingual and biliterate. So where are reclassification rates and how do those track against other parts of the district? And I remember when I first came to visit the Juntos program, I got to get the tour from Dr. Valentine, and she told me, prepare yourself, your student might seem behind for a little while, and then it equalizes by 5th grade, am I getting it right? And then by 8th grade, you on it and you're gonna go, right? Did that happen? No clue. Because we don't have this, like, it's not looked at explicitly, or I haven't seen it looked at explicitly, or it's buried in another presentation that's not explicitly called out for Juntos because it's not being considered as like a program in the way that it was tonight. So I'd love to see that. The other thing that I think is missing that maybe is part of the next steps is where are we going in this 10-year? So we looked at all this data. I love that we're looking at it. I love that we're analyzing it and that we have some questions. But I don't know a plan. Where are we going? What are our goals for our children? And what are our opportunities to participate in creating those goals together with the district, together with the teaching staff, together with our principals and our sites? Because we all want to be involved. And many people who are not here tonight want to be involved as well. I just appreciate everything so much. I want the opportunity to stay involved, and I thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you. Next up we have Ms. Gabrielle Conde.
Hello, good night, Superintendent, board members. My name is Gabriela Conde. I am from Peru. I didn't prepare for tonight, but I just made my best effort while I was sitting there to write something. I am a parent of 2 kids at San Miguel, a 3rd grader and a TKer. And I want to start by thanking the school district for supporting the Juntos program. My family really cannot be happier with the program so far. Our experience has been really great. The program means a lot to us, and I want to share a little bit about why it is important. The way I see the Juntos program is like a source of gifts that is providing to my family. For example, the gift of bilingualism for my kids. And when I say bilingualism, to me, it means that is giving my kids a sense of belonging. That is also a way of honoring the roots, a tool for understanding the cultural backgrounds of his peers, friends, and classmates. Gives my kids pride of their heritage, and that is to me a very strong foundation for their characters and the values that they will uphold. Also, as pride on they get the opportunity to experience a community, just like I used to when I was in Peru. It also gives us the gift of diversity and understanding, which is engraved in their everyday, in every class, in every interaction with their friends. It is important to me that my kids can talk to the grandparents and enjoy them at a level that it wouldn't be possible if they were not in the Juntos program. It is also important to me that they learn alongside heritage and non-heritage learners, because that makes the program richer and the learning experience that gives so many opportunities. For example, sometimes my older kid feels great because he can help a friend, because he knows a word that the friend doesn't know. And also by being with his friends, he learns so much about US American culture that he wouldn't learn with me or in the house, because we just don't know those things. The way he talks, the way he is with his friends. I am very happy. So to that, I just want to say thank you, and I wish you continue to support the program because it means a lot to many families. Thank you.
Thank you. We have callers online.
We have one, Veronica Conrad.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you. My name is Veronica Conrad. I have 3 kids in the Juntos program, 1 in elementary school and 2 in the middle school. And we love the program. We love the community. And I have a couple of thoughts to share. One, it's kind of, I didn't know Juntos was celebrating the 10th year anniversary. I think that's a really big thing to share with the rest of the community, and we should be celebrating that. And I wanted to build on Ms. Jensen's comments about building better communication about the program development and changes. I feel like that's lacking in the Juntos programs, and to create better trust within the community and the parents transparency about what's not working and changes to the curriculum would be appreciated. And for example, whether it's relabeling a class so it better matches what the high school labels of the class are, or you know, and in previous discussions we've discussed about, you know, do different school sites know what the kids are reading, and is there a reading list so that there isn't duplication of the material and kids are always experiencing new literature. So all these little pieces matter, and they create trust within the community, and so better transparency with that would be great. Moving forward, I'd like for the Juntos program to think about ways to immerse kids aside from just danza, which has been awesome. Ms. Elsa Nunez has really created this space to have kids be immersed both in the elementary and middle school, but like, what about other different kinds of programs, whether it's like cooking, as Ms. Watson was saying, or in high school, instead of thinking about developing another Spanish class, what about taking the kids to travel to really use that language skills that they've learned? And then lastly, I continue to ask for how does the Juntos program compare to other dual immersion programs in this area? There are so many. They also are taking standardized tests. We should be able to see, like, how do we rank at some metric to see how are we doing or how we are not, and how we can be better, not only within Juntos, but with other schools. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, who would like to start? Anyone want to start with comments, questions, thoughts? Sure. Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, first off, thank you for everyone who shared thoughts, and thank you for the principals, all the work that you guys have presented today, but you do a lot of the work, so thank you. Okay, just a couple of things kind of connected to what some of the public comments were. I thought that was since there was a lot, I don't remember who said what. But the reclassification data, I thought that's what I hadn't thought about. I was like, oh, that's a good point. So curious if we can get that. I mean, it doesn't be like imminent, but just if that's data that we could get with that same breakdown as the other ones, with the like Juntos students and then neighborhood students. And then someone kind of asked me, like, where are we going? And I think, and maybe Christina, when you answer that one, you can answer this one too. I think you kind of talked about that, like, we're gonna get data and gather people and talk to people to kind of make those, like, district staff is not gonna make that decision for people, it's gonna be made collectively, but maybe you could speak to that. And then also a few thoughts about the reclassification. And then I have one more, but we'll do those two first.
Yeah, so I was furiously typing notes. This is a broad overview in the beginning of the conversation. We keep working on picking up the conversation and carrying it through. So there are actually a number of different data request follow-ups that we need to think about. But you're right on the mark with the next steps, which is we do need to do broad data collection, which involves many different people. So we can really identify what's the breadth of focus areas, and how can we identify which ones are the most important to tackle, like the 25-26 school year, what's the 26-27 school year, like what is the general map that we're moving to? And I think that was mentioned earlier, but like, where are we going next? When we originally designed the program, it was first like, let's get it started and we'll revisit in 3 years, and we're kind of working off on 3-year intervals. Now that the program is established, kudos, and clearly the community is thriving in great ways. And also we want to like set some markers for the upcoming 3 years and the 3 years after that, and communicate that with everybody.
Interesting. Maybe you could share a little bit more when you're saying data collection, like what all does that mean? I'm assuming it's not just surveys, like focus groups, like what is that when you say data collection? Maybe you can expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Working with the principals, we talked about like a range of different ideas, and also utilizing the existing school structures, and hopefully like Principal Ponyabara will grab me if I say anything incorrect. Like they'll just toss something over because I can't see them. But I think the idea was like using.
If they start making fun of you.
Okay, thank you. I think the idea was like, can we use existing school structures that exist right now? So PTA, school site council, as well as do concerted outreach to groups that may not be represented at those spaces, all in survey format, right? As well as focus groups, as well as one-on-one conversations. Clearly, we've heard from a number of families here tonight, we got valuable information, so just working on that. It also includes talking to our students, our students have had different opinions on juntos, depending on which cohort they're in. Principal Espo could speak to that more articulately than I could, as well as community partners. So we know that we've partnered with different outside organizations as well as other dual language schools, so we can learn from them, but also validate the work that we're doing. So it would include all those pieces, but also we got to work on a timeline. But that's our next step.
Yeah, that's great. I would say the one thing, and it's kind of the thing that I always say, which I'm sure you're probably gonna work on it. And I think San Miguel does do a good job, maybe comparatively, of bringing in other voices, but still, I mean, even using today's example of who came and spoke, right? The majority of people speaking were white, which, no offense, I'm clearly white too, but that space, right, of we want to hear from everybody, right? And so I know you guys are gonna do that, but that's just, I think that's an important space, right? Is we want to hear from everyone, and that's everyone, but we want to make sure the voices who don't come to the table as often, that we're really hearing from them and what are, right, kind of that vision, next 10 years, what does everybody want? I have one more thing, but I think this is probably one that everyone wants to talk about, so maybe we stay on this space for a little bit. Because anyone have comments about this part, and then I can say my last thing.
You think for the reclassification rates, we did get some data in the last meeting, and I remember to prepare for this meeting, I went back and I looked at your presentations from 2019 and from pre-pandemic, from when we were looking at expanding to the middle school, but then also when you were still a principal at San Miguel, so I think it was 2019. And there was a bunch of data in there, you were talking about the fourth grades, and I remember I was a brand new board member, and I was just so pumped because it was basically the presentation, it was using data to tell the story that we were seeing what we expected, that first year of English instruction, the test scores were not showing a lot of growth. By the time the kids were in fourth grade, we were seeing more improvement, and it was just all the indicators were there. So I think that, and I seem to remember from listening to the May meeting that we learned then that there were more students being reclassified, and so that's why there were fewer English learners in the cohort in Columbia Middle School. So when you look at the proportion of English learners that were present in the San Miguel cohorts versus they're getting reclassified out, I think someone said at a higher rate. I don't know what the exact higher rate is. But I also am very interested in comparing our juntos to other schools as well and what their offerings are. I'll let some other people talk, but I have some specific questions. Go ahead. You were gonna say something. Wait, did Michelle?
Well, I was just saying, I figured people might want to talk about the outreach stuff, and then I just had one other thing. If other people want to talk about that space.
You can talk about outreach. I really appreciate how everyone came and showed up here, and we don't always have people standing here crying emotionally about no, it's beautiful. I'm sorry, I would do the same thing. But about how wonderful the education is that is being provided for your students and how rich it is culturally and how meaningful it is, and to have this immersion, right? And this pride around this. And I've seen the Juntos program be such a unifying force for years now. And I think that we like to say there's something special at San Miguel, and it is the Juntos program, and it is also the whole community that, that what you bring to the community. And for me, here, what can we do to expand upon this elsewhere? I mean, I want to be very also clear about what we're doing, where we're going, form that advisory committee that we've been talking about forming, inclusive of all families and students and teachers and staff and, the community, include the community. I think that's very important. But I think there's so much potential. I think there is so much to celebrate. I would love to see the celebration, this 10-year celebration, call that out. but also, like in line with, what we've been talking about in terms of transparency, calling out where are some areas where we could improve? Where can we look more critically about, is this successful in the way we had envisioned it? Do we need to re-envision? What kind of supports are there? How can we do more besides danza, culturally? So I just am really proud of the Juntos program for having such a rich educational experience here. And I want to see how to do more. And I do question, as I know that we've talked about before, are we doing the neighborhood kids a disservice and not including them in the Juntos program and not going full school with that program, or perhaps even having other Juntos programs, satellite programs? I mean, my school could use that too. Like, that sounds wonderful.
I want to just concur with Peggy on that and also see if we could get some more direction around the idea of a Juntos K through 8 advisory committee. I believe it was in the old decks about, as Juntos was coming forward and as you were going to expand to K-8, I understand that we have parent groups and we have systems in place to meet with people at their school site, but there's something about the program spanning 2 schools. It was part of basically the vision that we had for when we approved the idea of going to middle school, that there would be a Juntos Family Advisory Committee. And I would think that, like Peggy was saying, that it would maybe have teachers or staff, but for sure have the families that are involved in the program, allow board members to attend, like let's have it be facilitated and real as a place to look at data and feedback. And I think from talking to the board the last time that we had this meeting, I think there is just general board support. Is that something we can provide direction on? In addition to going through regular systems and the PTA and meeting with the principals directly, like, can we have?
Yeah. I think we all agree to,
The majority agreed, yes.
agreed that we wanted to have an advisory committee, and that was one of my questions tonight. What happened with that, and if that is one of the next steps that we were expecting after the 10 years, that it will be great. The community asked for it. The majority agreed with that at the last meeting. Also, I keep asking the question about the next step. If the next step is to open satellites, or it is to do the school, like a whole program with the school and extending the program to the whole site. And one of my questions is what happened with math, because I see a lot of good results in ELA, but I don't see the same results in math. So if we do have a reason for that, what are the plans to fix the situation?
I think that's district-wide. I don't think that's unique to San Miguel. I think we're struggling in math district-wide right now. We've been new math adoption, we're hoping it kicks in. We're like, but we have some work to do in math district-wide. Our numbers are not good. So I don't think, is that correct, Dr. Valentine, that it's not San Miguel alone?
Yeah, although we have seen a reverse trend in our math data overall, which means that for a little while, actually our math data was trending downward. We were able to reverse, and now we're trending upward with that. We're still not at the levels where we would be with English language arts or Spanish language arts. We do believe that, like, our teachers have been working really hard on understanding the new math framework as well as instructional practices and using the curriculum. But we only hope to leverage that and continue to build. But it is across the district.
Evelyn, did you have anything?
So the program sounds really amazing. How do families learn about it and get their student to apply? Like, what's the process? And is it, as a parent, like, how do I get that information?
Yeah, I think, that's actually a good example of how the program has changed over time. So in the inception of the program, it was going to the farmer's market, going out to the Sunnyvale Arts Festival, I'm gonna get the name wrong, the one in May, the arts and crafts one. But it was all about like just getting the word out that there is a DLI program in Sunnyvale, because we didn't have a history of any bilingual programs in Sunnyvale, which is uncommon in California. So that was the beginning of the program, and now where we are now is, I actually think that the people in this room are the people who spread the word about the Juntos program. I think families are looking for opportunities for their children, whether it's like I'm looking for Spanish opportunities, I'm looking for integrated schools, whatever that looks like. But the families and the parents are the people who actually promote the program to other families. At the site level, they do, like, of course, have tours for families. And of course, I know Principal Yabar and Principal Poe answer questions and meet with families. But I would actually say that at this point in time, the families are the biggest promoters of the program. But
Aaliyah has an answer to the question too.
Oh, and Aaliyah has an answer to the question too.
Oh, what's the news? We also do, we need to do a new one actually. A variety of digital marketing that target families in the area, and we also are featured in the Bay Area Parent Bilingual Education Magazine every year too. So some other ways that we get the word out.
So I had a couple clarifying questions. So at CMS.
Can I just real quick make my one comment related to the Directions for Advisory? Is that okay?
For what?
The advisory committee.
Yeah.
So I just, my concern with it, and so just if it's gonna move forward, it's kind of what I referred to earlier, right? Is I want us to be careful that it's not the same voices that we hear, like, which they have great comments, it's not that the comments are good. But my concern with the advisory committee, that it will continue to be the same voices that we usually hear, that are usually people who are in more privileged places. And so that's why I'm not opposed to having people get involved, that's lovely, but that is my concern and that's my hesitation with it. So if we're moving forward with it, let's be mindful of that, please.
And you know, it's interesting, sorry, that when you say, but what I seen when I go to the PTA in San Miguel is like never seen a PTA with 50 people in the room, most of them Hispanic. So I don't know why they don't wanna come here.
They do the best job, yeah.
I don't know why they don't wanna come here to the boardroom. But it is very well represented by the community. And probably if we target the same people for the committee, the advisory committee, that it will be very well represented.
And I also want to say that, like, you know, when I think about like one of those committee meetings, like those working meetings, in my mind, I'm not envisioning it being like student side council where there's a few nominated people. In my mind, when I think of that kind of a committee, it's really an opportunity. It's a small forum. It's almost like another PTA meeting, but it's the district interacting with data. There's two-way feedback, and there's things that you can't really have just at one school site or the other. So I think that in my mind, it wouldn't be like, we're gonna have two designees, one from each school or something like that. But I'm sure the district can come up with some ideas about it. I just think that it's time to like meet that commitment that has been talked about. And post-pandemic, I think there was a presentation from CMS where they said, you know, our next step is to do that. We just can't do it because we're still returning to in-person instruction. So, I mean, it isn't my idea, right? It was like, that was kind of the plan. I know things adjust and we feel like, oh, we have great communication because we have all these really engaged parents. But the idea for an overarching program conversation, that's what I'm interested in supporting. And we've had people say that to us over and over because they have kids in kindergarten and they're thinking about what's happening in 6th grade. I do have a couple of questions that are more specific. We have other things on the agenda, so I know other people might have other things to say. I just want to ask a couple questions. At CMS, we made the original move to go to 0 period. And part of that was to ensure that Juntos students would definitely still get an elective. Is that, like, now that CMS has changed their schedule, do our Juntos students still get an elective? And are there things that they're excluded from? Like, are they able to do music or advanced math? Like, I know the schedule is very challenging. Do you?
Well, it's one of the things that we talked about today, and I apologize for not getting this presentation out earlier to the public. I take responsibility for that. But I also wanted to make sure that we had sufficient time to capture some of these data and some of the comments that came forward today about, hey, can we compare how our students in our programs are doing across the county or the state in terms of not only academic outcomes, but reclassification, really good points. And I do also, going back to the question about the zero period is, I think it's also an opportunity for us to revisit our course of study, which means when students get to the middle school, what courses are available to them, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. And I think there's some opportunity to make some improvements there. But again, I'm still new here and trying to get some additional information. And then the other thing is we had talked about some of these data points in terms of, I know we have an MOU with Fremont Union High School District, and how do we work together to collaborate to make sure that we're able to better monitor and follow how our students are doing, not individually, but in an aggregate form, because it's something that we're definitely interested in, and I definitely want to know how we're doing it moving forward. And then what else can we do, right, to support? And I've had conversations with our principals and our team about having these type of presentations available to our families, but I think it's also important that our students be aware of some of the goals, challenges, and successes as well. So moving forward with a district-wide advisory group or committee is important, and it does present an opportunity to get more voices included, and then also make sure that we're elevating these concerns, successes, not necessarily in board meetings, but at the school sites, right? And make it convenient and available to our families. And again, we gotta make sure that we also include our students in these discussions.
Thank you. And I also wanted to say that, Isabel touched on the idea of going to a whole school model. And I know we've talked to Dr. Crosswade about it. I think you mentioned a school in Long Beach, where there's some data around outcomes going to a whole school model versus not. I know that's challenging for us. In some ways, it's really challenging for the adults. And the idea of I know you were talking about the different demographics in the neighborhood program versus the Juntos program. But I just wanted to say that, now that we're having multiple cohorts year over year stay in one class and not switch, so now we're saying the kids who start at San Miguel and TK, you're gonna be with those same students all the way up through 5th grade. And you're not gonna ever change, you're not gonna have other classmates, and and you are those kids in that neighborhood program for your whole time. That could be very impactful in its own way. It's a very different kind of message to send to them. Even though they're part of the school and maybe their outcomes are a little better and stronger academically and maybe socially, they're benefiting so much from the Juntos program. There's a very, very distinct message sending to those kids. And then I also want to say, just the data point about maybe 10% less of the families in the neighborhood program have parents who have college degrees. I was the first person in my family to go to college. If someone said to me, well, you know what, you get to stay in that neighborhood program, you don't get to go to the Juntos program because, your parents you're economically disadvantaged and your parents don't have the background, and so we're just gonna make all these assumptions about you. And so maybe they couldn't handle it, maybe they would be less supportive. My parents knew that there were concrete benefits to being in the Juntos program. They would have pushed me to go to something like that, right? So what information are we telling those families? Yeah, it's good enough, you don't have to do the extra homework, and you get to benefit from the school. What is the message we're telling them? Are we really telling them, if we have the academic benefits and the social benefits of being in that program, are we really sharing the benefits with the neighborhood families? Because if we're just saying to them, yeah, you get to kind of just come along and your kid is gonna be in that same class all those years, I don't think that that's right. I mean, and I know that there's assumptions there, but let's figure out what the data is, let's figure out what the message is and what it could be, and let's invite people to join and have those conversations and find out why they aren't yet, and if there are barriers, then we can address them. I just don't wanna hold back the opportunity for kids, if that really is a genuine opportunity that we're just holding back because it's inconvenient for the adults. Because we have teachers who only speak English, who have never taught in Juntos, they're not credentialed to teach a Spanish class or whatever. I don't wanna hold it back because of the adults we have in the space, because every teacher in our district works for the district. They don't work for the school. They can dedicate their life to children. We have lots of children who would benefit from their awesomeness. So it's a really difficult thing to say because we're talking about people who have been in places for a long time, but we have to look at the overall interest of the students, right? So that's what I'd like to take a look at, and if the data comes back and it says, well, it's, there's no harm for them to do that, it's really not that big of a difference, everyone benefits anyway, so be it. Or the community has zero interest and there always needs to be a neighborhood program and they'll put their kids in that for 6 years straight. Okay, but we have to position it with like all the data that we would, just like when we were going to the farmer's market and talking to people, like, come to this great community, be a part of this, your kid gets to be a part of this high register, high quality, bilingual education. That's a unique opportunity in the Silicon Valley, so.
And I agree and add on that I think multilingual, multicultural education is what we need to be doing for all of our students across the district. And here we have a bud of that, we're beginning. But if we're actually preparing our students for global citizenship, this is how we need to do that. And that encompasses all of the beautiful cultural aspects, the empathy building, but preparing students for high school and beyond to me means being immersed in other cultures, learning other languages, and celebrating who we are.
Any other comments from the board? Okay, so we definitely have board direction on we love the idea of going out and getting tons of information. We love the idea of a advisory committee. Thank you so much, Dr. Valentine.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Thanks everybody for coming. We really appreciate your attending and participating. Okay, we are on to, want to take a break? Yeah, before we do the consent agenda, let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back at 8:47.
Oh, me? Oh, Yes. No, I did all that. Yes, okay.
No. I'll look right now. I'm gonna look right now. Yeah, I'll take a look.
I know, I'm like, where's that?
I'm sorry.
Resolution reaffirming.
It's that senioritis. Yeah, well, thank you. I got worried about your life and other things and maybe I'll try. It happens. Right, so we got.
Okay, I was like, that's something
Yes, I don't know how hard it is. No, I And so I'm here. Did you get one earlier today?
It can be good. It can be all of that.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you control it by education, because it's everywhere. Well,
Okay, welcome back, everybody. It is now 8:49, and we're returning to our regular board meeting. We are on to item 13, which is our consent agenda. Got all these. It looks like we do have one item to pull from consent. But anyway, right now, did you want to say something?
Yeah, President Watson, before you consider consent, I want to pull one item from the agenda, which is item 13C6. And I'm gonna pull it from the agenda for consideration and possibly bring it back at the future board meeting.
Thank you. Okay, so, any item on the consent agenda is subject to review and discussion prior to being approved by the board. If necessary, any items may be removed for separate action. The public may address the board regarding any items on the consent agenda. So I do have Courtney Jansen for 13C1. Would like to pull that one.
I don't think. No, we don't have to pull it. I just wanna comment on it.
Or you wanna pull it to comment?
I don't know, do I have to pull it to
I don't
comment?
think she has to pull it, she just, it's the consent agenda and she's making a comment on the consent agenda.
Yes, that.
And it happens to be a specific item. But it doesn't have to get pulled for different.
Or to pull an item from consent to comment on it and have separate consideration.
That's if you want separate consideration for it. So she was wanting separate consideration. Is my understanding of that.
I don't have that script. I don't need separate consideration. I just want to comment.
He's saying it doesn't need to get pulled.
Yeah, just to ask some clarification, so someone can speak on a agenda item and then based on that information, you can then decide to pull it and have a discussion on it, but not required at this time.
Okay, super. Thank you. Okay, so if there's any other member of the public who would like to speak on the consent agenda, please use the raise hand feature now. Okay, seeing none, Ms. Jansen, go ahead.
Okay, still Courtney Jansen, San Miguel parent, and I wanted to comment on, like you said, 13C1, approval of an overnight field trip to Angel Island. And I'm also gonna continue my disorganized comments, apologies, it's been busy. So I saw this, and to be clear, I'm not asking you to pull it. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, that's super exciting. My second thought was, man, my kids will miss it because even though we live very close to Fairwood, they don't go to Fairwood. And then I was thinking about, like, as you may recall, a year and a half ago, we did the Ed Foundation FTAC, which was a field trip and assembly catalog, where I walked you guys through in my Ed Foundation capacity, kind of where we are with field trips and assemblies at the different sites, mostly elementary school. And I recall in that conversation that there was some discussion of, hey, should we have basically like a district standard of every student in our district will get a minimum of, and I don't remember and I didn't have time to look, but some number of assemblies and some number of field trips. And I was like, hey, that was a great idea. And I don't remember where it is. So if it hasn't been officially like established, I would ask that you guys bring that back up and talk about that. As well as some sense of funding. Like I don't want to put more work on principals to pull from their school sites necessarily, but I do think it's important to have a commitment for everyone to get some basic field trip and assemblies. And then I was thinking, like, chaperones, right? Like the Fairwood one, and it's only I think $2,000 or something, but there are probably maybe 20 parents doing it. And I was really impressed that they could get 20 chaperones because at San Miguel, and I think we actually get chaperones pretty well, but even the teachers have to kind of pull teeth and say, hey, like, how do we get that to happen? And yes, Fairwood's the parent participation program, and I would expect them to have more field trips and things, but as far as I know, they're the only school that has such an amazing opportunity as doing an overnight camping trip at Angel Island, which I would like to go on myself. So I would chaperone it if we do it at San Miguel. And this isn't really going anywhere, but it led me kind of to this thought of how do we, while recognizing that Fairwood is a parent participation program, make sure that some of these super unique experiences and special experiences aren't limited to just the kids who are there, in that really unique model of, like I said, parent participation. And what can we do to bring some of these more ideas to all of the schools, set a baseline standard, and figure out specifically how to get kids to do some of these kind of things. And I would love to see every fifth grader, especially for only $2,000, get to do a similar program to this. And I know there are challenges that aren't just financial. That's something that we could do at FTAC in the future, is kind of really dig into what are your challenges here. But I'd love to continue the dialogue, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys were all hopefully thinking about that as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so board. We need a motion, or would anyone like to pull something from the consent agenda?
I wouldn't like to poll anything, but I would like to comment.
I think for us,
Pull it, I don't know. We need to, because before we pull it to comment.
so in the past, we said, well, if we are either just gonna pass the consent agenda or we're going to pull it for separate consideration, but if you don't wanna pull it to vote on it separately, you're saying she can still just talk about it?
I don't know, this
Make a
is new,
comment now?
so I'm asking because.
Yeah, just we can make a motion and she can
Make a
make a comment.
motion to approve it as listed?
Yeah, I
Everything
make
but
a
that.
motion to prove it as listed.
I'll second.
Okay, just clarification, are we
It's for
moving
the whole thing.
13 ABC? Is this what we're doing?
Well, this is everything but the one
D?
that everybody
Everything
voted
except
for.
for 13 C6.
Okay,
But we
okay.
can talk about anything.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say that I'm happy that this is still happening, the Angel Island field trip. I went with both kids and it was an amazing experience. And yes, it is a parent participation in school, and that's why it has been facilitated for us to go to so many field trips with the kids, because we made it happen with the parents, without the school. But I also wanted to remember that we're having right now, at least that's my view. I would like to know numbers, because then it's not just me going every time I have a site visit, asking the elementary school teacher how many field trips they have. But I've been doing it when I go to the elementary school, and I am amazed that they tell me 2 or 3 every time in every school that I've been. And that's a difference between 1 or maybe none that was 4 or 5 years ago. So it's an improvement, and I've been aware of that, but I would like to know in numbers if that's with everybody or just every time I remember and I ask. It has been good to know. So that's great, and I know it's more challenging in other schools when you don't have, an army of parents that are willing to just go everywhere with the car full of kids to overnight trips. That was it.
So I just want to say, every school in Sunnyvale School District is a parent participation school. Anyone can volunteer at any of our schools. There's something for everyone to do. We cannot require people to volunteer in our schools, right? That was a kind of a hit to the program at one point when that legislation came through. You can't say to be here, you must participate, you must volunteer. But, and the parents are not the focus of that program. The parents are helping create student-centered learning, which when I was a teacher there, it was project-based learning, and now it's hands-on learning, which happened without the board really talking about it, as far as I know. So it is that is like one way to try to get high student engagement and differentiation and do all these things we wanna do. All of that aside, I think what I really feel about this is that we got a commitment from the district a couple of years ago as a board where they said every child should get, I think it was during that meeting, we said, okay, we think the board direction was every student should get at least 1 field trip per year, right? Maybe 2, maybe 1 that would be kind of like, we're going to the park for our end of year picnic, and 1 that was educational. And like we came up with that out of that Ed Foundation discussion. So we haven't gone back and measured that. We haven't seen any reports on that. I think that's something we could partner with the Ed Foundation to work towards. But the idea that initially, I think that's another thing when we do eventually talk about Fairwood. just like San Miguel, the purpose was to increase enrollment at that school. And they thought they were gonna be increasing enrollment from schools like Cumberland and Cherry Chase and get them away from the south side of the town because there were lots of parent volunteers over there, lots of people who were into it. And it'd be interesting to see like where the demographics of Fairwood are really pulling from across the district and the impact that's having on all of our schools. So, you know, I'm personally very interested in supporting, you know, any program that's gonna be highly engaging and highly dynamic and student-centered and, you know, tons of rigor and love of learning and, you know, self-esteem building and all that other stuff. I really love that about, you know, the program as I participated in it, and it's like I knew Trustee Hubas Flemmerich and Trustee Profeta but you know, I really am interested in like the impact overall to the district and if that program is meeting its program goals. And I know Trustee Shenbrewster has something to say here.
I think this is a great opportunity to take a look at our programs of choice and what the purpose of them were and whether or not we're meeting those purposes, because as you just mentioned, Trustee Watson, Fairwood and San Miguel, as I understand, were designed to pull people up to the northern schools that were considered less desirable. And now what we have is that the very, very engaged parents that have time to spend on field trips and maybe more discretionary funds are taking all their kids from my neighborhood school to San Miguel and to Fairwood. And so when Fairwood has a field trip every month, and my child has just science camp this year, I wonder what we're doing in terms of equitable experiences. Are we just benefiting those people that have the time and money to spend more time and money on their kids? It's very, this is a very sore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we can take a look at the purpose. If that was for if it was for project-based learning, are we doing that? If it's now just parent participation, well, that's not really fair, right? I know one parent that her child was new to the States, and she came and she was talking to me on our one field trip in 3rd grade, like, oh, my kid's new, what do you think? Like this, we get pretty low rankings here in Bishop, and should I take them to Fairwood because that'll be a better education? And I said, you know, she's learning language and she can be with other students, and that's wonderful and that's beautiful. And this is a great place to be, to know about other cultures, to learn language with a lot of other language learners. And she reclassified last year and now she's at Fairwood because it's a better experience, quote unquote, right? So it's very concerning to me, and that's something I would like to look at.
But we can still improve. The idea is that we need to improve Bishop. We don't need to break the other programs.
No, I agree. We should have rich field trips and parent engagement. I mean, even without parent engagement, we should build in gardening programs, we should build in music programs, we should build in all these things that are termed enrichment. They're not enrichment, it's just basic learning opportunities, ways to access literature, ways to access, math. These are great. I know. Yeah, and this is a goal I want us to really think about. When I went to CLSBA, I was like, look at all this innovation, like that these schools are able to do with much less funds than we are. Why can't we do that? We had, like Anaheim was presenting, every student is bilingual, biliterate, and also plays an instrument leading their school district. Wouldn't that be lovely? Like, that's the education I want to have for all of our students. And I recognize that it's better than it was before, but it's still like keeping our eye on the ball. What should we aim for, right? And I don't want to break Fairwood down. I want to bring everyone up, right? I mean, just like this Robin, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're
we bring up the bar for everybody.
And I do wanna bring up the bar for Fairwood as well.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yes.
So, okay, so, that was a valuable discussion, and I think we are gonna continue it at another time. So, are we feeling like we could approve vote on the consent agenda? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and the consent agenda passes. Okay, we're on to the action items, and we have a few. Item 14A, approval of the 24-25 unaudited actuals financial report. And, oh, I gotta scroll way down on here. So, that is Mr. Arthur Cuffey, Chief Business Officer.
All right, thank you. So we're on 14A, correct?
Yes.
So this item is just the approval of the 24-25 unaudited actuals financial report. So this is for your consideration. What happens next is if you do choose to approve this and certify, we send this certification to the county. The county is oversight, and then the next step would be to the state level. So it's just part of the process that we have to go through every year, certify our financial data.
Okay, if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on this item, please use the raised hand feature. Okay, seeing board, have any questions, or can I get a motion to
I
approve?
move approval of the 24-25 unaudited actuals financial report.
I second.
Discussion? No, okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, the motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Cuffey. And item B is also yours, 14B, approval of resolution 2607 in the matter of the GAN appropriation limit, sorry.
Yes, so this is also approval of a resolution number 2607. The GAN limit, basically, something that we're all districts are required to produce a calculation. It's kind of a spending cap. We never ever get anywhere close to that, but it's something we have to do anyway. So this is also for your consideration for approval.
Thank you. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment on this item, please use the raised hand feature. Okay, seeing none, board, can I have a motion?
I move approval of resolution 2607 in the matter of the GAN appropriation limit.
I have a second.
I second.
Thank you. Discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, and the motion passes. Item 14C, approval of resolution R2608 in the matter of reaffirming Sunnyvale's commitment to safe and inclusive schools for all students and staff. Dr. Crosswood.
Hi, thank you. This resolution reaffirms Sunnyvale School District's commitment to safe, inclusive schools for all students and staff. And aligns to board policy 410. It directs the district to lead with the Vision First Family message that emphasizes opting in to belonging. The resolution highlights inclusive learning and calls for clear guidance and professional learning for teachers, protection and use of inclusive materials, and regular reporting of student belonging, safety, and inclusion. I want to thank Ms. Katie Rowland for her support and guidance on this as well.
Thank you. I have two cards here for public comment. And if there's any member of the public online who would like to speak on this item, please use the raised hand feature. In the meantime, we'll call Mr. Doug Kuntz to the podium. And then after that, it will be Ms. Veronica Brand.
Good evening, Madam President, Superintendent Crossway, and members of the board. My name is Doug Kuntz, and tonight is my wife's birthday as well as my own. We jointly chose to make other plans tonight and celebrate another night because you're doing something really important with this important and positive with this resolution, and I wanted to be here to speak in support of it. In times like these, it is vital to build bridges and support people who have different life circumstances than ourselves. In Project Cornerstone, we teach our kids to be upstanders, not bystanders, when we see someone being singled out for being different, and I seek to apply that lesson by speaking tonight. This resolution paints a powerful and positive vision for a safe and inclusive school year in which all students learn about themselves and one another. I want all kids who attend our schools to thrive, and that means celebrating all of our kids. My kids do not need assistive devices for walking, but I want them to see images of students and adults who do in their books and on their classroom walls. My kids are not Hispanic, and yet I support them joining in celebrations of Hispanic Heritage Month. My kids are not Chinese American, and yet I support them joining in celebrating the Lunar New Year. In the same way, I see this resolution as a hopeful sign that we can build a community in this district that celebrates our LGBTQ kids and the teachers who support them. The American Academy of Pediatrics says that LGBTQ kids who live in supportive environments have far better life outcomes than those who do not. Furthermore, the evidence is overwhelming that all kids do better in more inclusive environments, and that it's possible to do so in a culturally sensitive manner. So supporting LGBTQ students paves the path to what we all agree that we want, which is positive educational outcomes for all of our kids. Thank you for speaking up on a time when so many people's silence is saying volumes and passing this resolution.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And happy birthday to your wife. Next up is Ms. Veronica Brand.
Hi, thank you, Board. My name is Veronica Brand. I'm a parent of 2 students in the Sunnyvale School District at San Miguel and Columbia Middle School. I don't have any prepared remarks, but I just wanted to say thank you for writing this resolution and bringing it to the board. I read it this morning as I was scanning through the agenda, and it brought joy to my day to see just how proactive and how empowering it felt to say that we're going to stand up, we're going to help our teachers, have all our students' backs, and just be there and really supporting diversity and inclusion in a time when it's scary. You don't know who has your back. I really appreciate very much so how proactive this board is being in telling us that you do, and so that I know when I send my kid to school, they're going to a safe place. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone online? No? Okay, so board, I need a motion to approve.
I move we approve resolution 26-08. Reaffirming Sunnyvale's commitment to safe, inclusive schools for all students and staff.
I second.
Thank you. Board, any discussion?
Yes, this is really beautiful language, and I'm really proud of our board for supporting this and for Dr. Crossway for bringing it forward based on a public comment about Women versus Taylor and incorporating Katie's words in here. That is really a wonderful move for us. I think it's very affirming for the community to be included in this way. I do want to ask, what does it look like when we say that educators must be supported with clear guidance and professional development so that they feel confident to teach inclusive materials and so that no child's safety, identity, or experience is diminished due to fear, discomfort, or misunderstanding? What does that look like in terms of presumably like an AR?
Yeah, but presumably an AR, but simply is that there's also a need, and we recognize it, that we need to provide our staff with the appropriate professional development. And that's not a one-time thing, it has to be an ongoing commitment from us as an organization. And to create spaces where we can reciprocate, listen, hear, and engage in conversations about what else we need to do and what more can we do to ensure that not only our students but our staff also feel supported as well.
How do we engage our educators in that way to make sure that they feel supported.
How much time do we got here? Well, that's a bigger question, right? But I think that we have this amazing Senegal promise. We have a commitment from you as leaders here in New York and the community, and you have the community support. But these are ongoing conversations in terms of what does that look like, right? And I don't want to give you the impression that that's going to be my decision. It has to be a collaborative process moving forward, where we also make adjustments and make pivots. But ultimately, we have to also make sure that we're supporting these ideas and thoughts with budget and creating space and time for that as well.
I also want to bring up the idea of a advisory group for LGBTQIA students, staff, families, and allies, because I had talked to a couple parents before about this, and they were equally receptive. And, you know, one of them in particular was concerned about like, you know, feelings of safety. Maybe their child is not out yet, you know, and they wouldn't want to out their child by joining the group. And so, you know, just having allyship being part of that group, and then also just people who are available and want to help. Because I think that we've had it before where we were making decisions regarding bathroom access or just simple policies that seem like they're not gonna affect certain groups, or surveys that go out that are intended for students to fill out. And then we heard from one public comment a few meetings ago last year that the student was like totally like did not even want to answer the question, right, because of how it was phrased. So like I'm hopeful that if there was a way for you know, rather than just counting on certain parents being very vocal, that there was like an all call for help for when we have issues like this. I mean, I don't know how you handled this in your previous district, or any thoughts you have.
I mean, I'll just let you know, we had a Pride Summit. I mean, so we had GSA, Gay Straight Alliance clubs at the middle schools and high schools, and we brought in speakers and invited staff and students to spaces where they can be comfortable, whether they were questioning, have been out, allies, etc. And it just has grown to become this beautiful space for our young people to be seen, heard, and supported, as well as for our adults to be able to be in those spaces, as well as leaders, models for young people. But it takes some time though, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that board, are we ready to vote? Oh, you have a question or a comment on that?
Comment, yeah. So I just wanted to thank Katie for the great comments you had at the previous meeting that are now in here. And then I know we're getting late, but I just want to share a quick story connected to it. So at the California Latino School Board Association, Tony Thurmond, who's the state superintendent of instruction, came and spoke, and I got a chance to chat with him just briefly. And I shared a comment that he made that I love, so I shared it with him. So what he said was, we have to use education to end hate. And so when I shared that with him, then we kind of were talking about that space. And so when I shared with him, I said there was a mom in our district who came and spoke to us a while ago related to the new like opt-out stuff. And I said, she used this phrase opt-in and I love it and it's beautiful. So I just wanted you to know that like it's like you didn't coin that term per se in like the world, but I was able to share that with the state superintendent. I just think those both work perfectly, right? Like we're opting in to learn about other people. We use education to end hate, right? They just tie beautifully. So just wanted to share that quick story.
You'll probably hear it in his campaign literature. You're like, that was me. That was me. But anyway, so I mean, board, we're in agreement that we're supportive of Pride Summit and affinity groups and supportive, inclusive.
Yeah, and let's make sure to celebrate and get this out that we are doing this as well. All the great stuff we're doing.
Thank you. Okay, so board, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye and the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, we're on to item 14G, which is approval of resolution R2609 in the matter of support for Proposition 50, protecting public education and California's representation in Congress.
So this resolution affirms Sunnyvale's commitment to protecting public education at a time when federal actions pose serious threats to students and schools, including funding. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment on this resolution, please use the raised hand feature now. Okay, seeing none, board, can we have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution R2609 in the matter of in support of position 50, protecting public education and California's representation in Congress.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, board, discussion?
I am in support of this resolution because it will shape California's congressional representation and our ability to defend public education and secure our resources and funding, especially in this time of heightened federal threats. And also recognizing that it is only triggered by the redistricting efforts in other states.
Michelle?
So I have a different, not a different personal opinion, but a different opinion. So I'm actually gonna vote no on this. And the reason that I'm gonna vote no on this is because I don't believe it's within our jurisdiction. So what I just wanna share is while I personally support Prop 50 and in my personal capacity, I'm gonna actively encourage others to support Prop 50. Like side note, please reach out. I'm happy to share with you why I think it's super important. However, I don't believe this is something a school board should take a stance on. I don't think the district should weigh in on issues like this that don't directly affect our students and don't directly connect to education and our students. So while I personally support Prop 50 for lots of reasons, I don't think the district should be weighing on this and I will be voting against it.
Isabel?
I like how it was phrased and why it's important for us to have representation. So I'm supporting it personally and today here.
Evelyn?
I'm in support of it too in protecting the public education.
Yeah, I absolutely am in support of this resolution, and I think it's different than some of the resolutions that have been that have come, that we've seen other boards and other city councils pass resolutions about, because I really do understand that public education is under attack and that democracy is under attack. And additionally, it does directly impact our children, because the people who are doing the dismantling and who would be triggering this going into effect, they are completely destroying the Department of Education at the federal level. They're talking about they're kicking people off. They're saying 9-year-olds can find their own food. Like they're kicking people off of public assistance for nutrition. They're impacting our budgets for student nutrition, coming after our families, Medi-Cal, CalFresh, National School Lunch Program, our ability to, it's just destabilizing for us. So and especially with the funding around the students with disabilities. So I think it's really important for schools everywhere to support propositions like Prop 50 that are, again, preventative in nature and responsive to the political attack on public education. So, okay,
And without going further, we have 4 or 5 Title I schools, and the Title I fund were stopped this year, and they came back because of a lawsuit. That being said, without representation, in 1 or 2 years, we're not gonna have Title I anymore.
Yeah, I think it's also relevant because of the funding, and I appreciate how this resolution was phrased, not in terms of, it was actually, there was an inspiration for this resolution that came from San Diego Union School District, and it was very different. The tone was very different. I appreciate that this is focused on funding, especially around special education and meals and early childhood education. We have seen already earlier in the year the funding freeze and just the unknown, are we gonna get the money? And then there is a lot of dismantling, and I do wanna protect our funding for our students, and that is why I'm voting in favor.
okay, let's call a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Okay, chair votes aye, it passes 4-1, thank you. All right, informational items, there is an informational item regarding the California Energy Design Assistance Program pre-approval letter for Sunnyvale Middle School modernization. And item 16 is future meetings. Our next meeting is October 15th, 2025 at 6 p.m. It's a special board meeting, but it will be available on Zoom, and it is going to be a deep data dive across all student groups. So if you can't catch it in person, you'll be able to see it on YouTube later. Okay, thank you, and this meeting's adjourned at 9:25.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Melissa.
Good night.